Alkanes are saturated hydrocarbons. We define hydrocarbons as molecules that only contain carbon and hydrogen atoms. Saturated hydrocarbons are ones that contain only single covalent bonds. This gives us a general formula for alkanes of CnH2n plus 2, where n can be any number. So if we were to have one carbon, that would mean to work out the number of hydrogen carbons, we use 2n plus 2. 2 times 1 plus 2, which is 4. So 4 hydrogens and 1 carbon. And that would be the smallest alkane, methane. Now if we look at that and consider alkanes once again to be saturated hydrocarbons, which of these compounds are alkanes? This one? No, not this one. This one's got triple bond in it, so not all single bonds, therefore not an alkane. What about this one here?
I.
That's right. That one has all single covalent bonds between carbon atoms. What about this cyclic compound?
I.
Yes, each carbon only has single bonds between it. What about the last compound, where we've got branches off the main chain?
I.
Yes, this is also an alkane, a saturated hydrocarbon. So alkanes are one of the homologous series or families of organic compounds. If we look at the straight chain alkanes with no groups off the side, we can arrange them in a series in which the number of carbon atoms increases by 1 for each consecutive member. And if you remember the general formula CnH2n plus 2, you can see how the number of hydrogens increases very rapidly. If we have a look at the first 8, we can see that with 1 carbon you've got 4 hydrogens. Then with 2 carbons, 6 hydrogens. And as we increase from 1, 2, 3 right up to 8 carbons, each progressive group sees an increase of a CH2 group. So we've got an extra CH2 group being added in to each alkane as we go up by 1 carbon at a time. So we need to know how to name these compounds. Alkane names end with the letters ANE, and that tells us that this is a saturated hydrocarbon. The beginning of each alkane's name depends on how many carbons there are in each molecule. So you need to count up the number of carbons and remember the prefixes. It's really important to learn these 8 prefixes. If you've got 1 carbon, the prefix for the alkane name is meth. So we have methane. For 2 carbons, eth. And we get ethane. 3 carbons is prop, so we end up with propane, and so on with bute for 4, pent for 5, hex for 6, hept for 7, and oct for 8. If you wanted to go on to 9 or 10, you could look at nonane with 9 carbons, and decane for 10 carbons in an alkane molecule.